Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to do is the max hoist. With the mast down, it's almost easier than if it's up because we can just run the measuring tape down the mast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the shiv here, the halyard shiv where it goes in, and I'm just going to measure right from in there. And I'm going to hand this down to JB, and he's going to walk it down to the far side of the mast there to where the gooseneck of the boom is going to attach to the mast. What this is the maximum length that the luff of the sail can be. There we go. There we go. We'll try to get it nice and straight. And what do you got there, JB?
23 feet, 8 inches.
23 feet, 8 inches. Okay, just want to let it go. We'll just kind of quickly reattach it, and then we're just going to measure it a second time, make sure that we get it correct, make sure everything's not tangled up. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure the length of your halyard, shackle, and knot. Now when you take the measurement with it up and you hoist the halyard up, that's sort of already taken into account. But when we're doing it off, then we're gonna measure from inside the shiv for the max hoist, but then we're going to remove this knot and shackle from that luff. Now you don't worry about that. There's a position on the measuring tape. Just give us how long it is, and then we'll do that for you. So I'm looking at 4 inches for both the knot and the shackle. That isn't going to be able to go in there. Might change depending on what size of shackle you have, what size of knot you have. Sometimes it's a spliced rope that will have maybe 6 or 8 inches that doesn't actually go into the shiv, and that obviously needs to be taken into account so that we don't build your sail too long. So yeah, all you just need to do, take your measuring tape. Sometimes there's little ends here that's hard to read, so I always like to use the actual numbers. Here it goes 4 to 8 inches, so 4-inch knot and shackle, and we'll just take that off of the max luff in design. We're going to measure from the aft face of the mast to the backstay, and what that's telling us is where the backstay actually goes to. So guys, yeah, we got the boom out here. Obviously we got the whole rig down and everything, so we just need to know the max foot. This is essentially how much space there's going to be for when you've got it all trimmed in and pulled it in. You're going upwind, and you want that nice flat sail. So don't take any of your own reductions again. We'll take all that. All I need to know is from where the gooseneck attaches to the mast down to where the outhaul normally attaches. So for a San 121, the E measurement is about 8.75 feet, or 8 3/4. So we're just going to measure what it is. And JB, what have we got here now that we got it down?
Pulling this one tight, we are at 8 feet.
8 feet. So his boom's a little short. He's got a big shackle, big knot at the back there. We want to make sure there's still some room. So we're gonna have to, have a slightly smaller foot on this sail. That's just kind of the way it is with sailboats. Sometimes your boom sits a little bit shorter than rig spec, but with the correct measurements taken from your stuff, we'll be able to build him a perfect sail for his boat. So yeah, no, it's gonna be great. And we'll just kind of release it again. Always double check your measurements. I'm gonna put it back to where it attaches at the boom, or at the mast rather. And what do you got there?
Again, we are confirmed at 8 feet.
8 feet, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, so we're gonna have a clue slug that's gonna run in through your boom, keeps the clue down to the boom. So we just need to know what the size of the groove is in the slot here, so we can make sure we get the right size. So it's very simple. Just take your pair of calipers here. If they are digital, make sure you zero them off before you get measuring. You don't need a pair of digital calipers. These can run for 60, 70 bucks. It doesn't have to be that, that kind of expensive. You can pick them up for like $9 or something at Lowe's. Otherwise, if you don't have these, you can always just take a pair of some drill bits, stick them in there, see which one fits. We'll obviously put one that's slightly smaller so that it doesn't have a lot of friction, but we need to know what the size of the groove is so that it doesn't pull out. So for this, we're just going to take it, zero it off. There you go. and I'm looking at 22 millimeters. So, or in inches, we're looking at 0.89 inches. So, yeah, that's gonna just make sure that's the first one. I'm gonna close them, zero them off again. .6 millimeters, or 0.18 inches. So, and always double check your measurements. Obviously, you're gonna open them back up inside. 22 millimeters, zeroed it off. 5 millimeters. So yeah, bang on. We'll be able to fit it with a perfect slug form. Hey guys, so we're going to do the tack setup and the tack setback. This is just to make sure that the tack ring sits over top of your tack connection properly. So when in doubt, take a picture of it. Honestly, I've looked at thousands of them. I'll be able to tell how big it is and what style it is just by looking at it. But it's always good to confirm and just have a couple quick measurements, and it really is that simple and that quick. Here's the tack connection. We're going to measure from the tack to where the gooseneck attached to the mast. That's 2 inches. That's very, very common for this size of boat. And then we're also going to just look at how high this is. And so we're just going to go from the base of the boom up to where the shackle connects. And we're looking at about a ½ inch. So in this case, obviously really, really small. This is going to be able to attach just fine. If you have a furling boom or something like that, sometimes the tack setback can be as far as 6 inches back. If you do have like a larger shackle for whatever reason, or you don't require that, then sometimes your tack setup could be 2 or 3 inches up. So we want to make sure that where we're going to be placing the tack ring on your sail is going to match your boom and your unique circumstances. And that's all that we need just to be able to do that. So now we're going to measure the backstay position, and this is one of these measurements that really helps. You got somebody here to help you. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one guy stand where the mast attaches, and estimating the boom height, measure with the other person to where the backstay attaches. Now, if you're not very familiar with the boat, maybe you just bought it, it came in pieces, and you don't know where the boom is going to sit, well, you can just go to your mast, measure from the base of the mast up to the gooseneck attachment. Then get on the boat, and you can then measure from about that height over to where you think the backstay is going to sit. At the end of the day, if we don't have this measurement, I'm going to have to estimate it based off rig drawings, previous designs, stuff like that. And your estimate's always going to be better than mine is, just because you're actually on the boat. So, take pictures. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Otherwise, just give us the best number that you can, measure a couple times, and I'm sure that we're going to be able to get something really nice and close. What this is really going to help us do in design is to position the backstay as we design the rig of the boat before we apply the sail. And that's going to allow me to know where the backstay is going to sit in relation to the mast and how much roach I can put into your sail. If we put too much roach, you're going to start hitting your backstay every time you tack. It's going to really reduce the longevity of the sail. So generally, unless you're a racer and really craving the extra sail area, we want to keep that the roach inside the backstay, and just keep it from flogging every time that you're tacking. Generally, this is fairly easy to do. We can build sails a lot more, conservatively and conventionally, that kind of way. But this is just a great way for us to, get as close as possible without risking hitting the backstay. So JB there measured 1'4" as far as the base of the mast up to the gooseneck attachment. So that's where we've got it now, and we're just going to measure along in a straight line. And here is the backstay attachment, and we're looking at 11'7". And we'll just kind of slack that off, make sure that you got her about the right height, and we'll take it one more time.
To this point here?
Yep, that's right, just right there. We're looking at the aft face of the mast. So don't take it from the fore face of the mast attachment, aft face of the attachment there. And again, gonna look through here, pull it nice and tight, and yeah, I got about 11'7". So that's perfect. Once we have that in, we're gonna, with the crane measurement, this backstay measurement, we're going to get a really good estimate as far as where the backstay sits, and then we're going to be able to maximize your sail area. So we're going to measure for mast sliders, and this is the #1 thing that people measure incorrectly. And unfortunately, when a sail comes, it can fit the boat perfectly, but if the sliders don't fit, it's either going to get pulled out or you're never going to get it up the mast. So this is a very simple way to measure it. Either A, look at the sliders that are on your existing sail, take a measuring tape or pair of calipers and give us the dimensions of the slugs that are on the sail or the bolt rope that's on the front of the sail. Or B, even better, is to do what we're going to do here, which is to measure the actual gate, and then we can make sure that we get you the best sliders that are on there. There's dozens of different types of sliders. We give probably the most common ones on the measurement forms. Honestly, if we gave you all the sliders that we have access to, it would just be super intimidating. So if you get a slider measurement that's slightly different from the ones that are on the measurement forms, you'll see in the side there, you can just write down what the dimensions are. It's probably just because it's the type of slider that we have access to, but we just don't have on the measurement form. So feel free to put that in. So what you're going to do in order to get the perfect sliders, take your pair of calipers and make sure you zero them out if they're digital. And we're going to stick it inside the mast gate, but we're trying to get the actual width of the cavity, and we're just going to open it up, make sure that that's on the inside there as much as it can go. Okay, perfect. So sometimes you got to wiggle it in, get a little creative in order to be able to get the calipers right in there. Open them up. Tighten it up to make sure it doesn't change when you pull it out. And here we have 18 millimeters. So I'm just gonna close this off, zero it out again, and again, stick it right in, open it right up. There we go. 18 millimeters. So always double check your measurements. If they come out wrong the second time that you do it, check again, zero it off. And then we're also gonna measure the actual gap here because we want to make sure that the waist of this slider that's going to be running down isn't going to either be jangling around, turning sideways, causing extra friction and jamming, or is just going to not fit at all. And so we're going to stick it out here. Oh, stick it right in, and I'm getting 5 millimeters on the dot. Again, always pull them out, zero them off, stick it back in, and put it up. 5.05 millimeters. So yeah, we're good to go. So it's a pretty simple thing. Just make sure that you take the time with it. Double check your measurements. If they don't match anything that's on the measurement form, it's very possible they're all slip sliders or some form of just a little bit higher grade, something that we can obviously definitely get a hold of if that's going to be necessary. It's also perfectly fine to just measure the sliders they have and take pictures of them. I've looked at these sliders 1,000 times over. If you show me an A013 or an A014 slider or whatever, I'll be able to tell you what it is, what the dimensions are of it before you've even told me what the measurements are, before we've even looked at your measurement form. So take pictures, and we'll just make sure that we get the sliders on there.